Welcome back, Shop Rats. Today we're here in an undisclosed location in mid-Michigan to see what's behind this door and see if we can get it running after, I don't know, 5 years, 7 years? It's been parked a while. I think you'll enjoy this, so stick around. Let's watch a show intro. I'll see you in just about 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is my car shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
So here we have a I believe it's a 1971. I'll have to double check with the owner on that. A 1971 Buick big block boat tail. And this car's been parked here for a while. And so we're gonna get some air in the tires and get it backed out of here and see if we can get this thing fired up. I haven't actually seen this car before. This is the first time. It's kind of sunk into the sand here a little bit, but surprisingly, looks like some of the tires have air in it. Looks good. This one's got air in it. Best case scenario here is to be on this sand, nice and dry. I think this one might need a little. This might need a little bit of inflation. It fits right in with the economy today. Okay, let's take a peek inside. Now, the car's beautiful inside. And we even have a Big Bear with what? An ammo belt? I'm not sure. And I believe we even have some keys for it. That's always helpful. You don't have to have them, but it helps. I remember the story on this. This was her grandmother's car, and it was passed around for a while, and then she bought it back, I think when she graduated from high school, bought it from whoever owned it at that time, and she's had it ever since. I'll confirm that story. If I can do this one-handed, we'll try. There we go. And there's the beast. Oh, good. It's got electronic ignition. That's awesome. And it's even got a battery in it. I brought a top post and a side post both, so that's good. I don't anticipate having big issues with the engine, but of course we don't know anything until we try. So we'll see if we can get our hands down in there and turn that motor over by hand. There we go. Got some light on the subject so you can see now. 455 4-barrel. I got one of those motors at home in the shop, actually. Look at all that room back there. I'm not used to looking at anything that's got that kind of room in the engine bay. So hopefully this isn't going to be a big deal, but obviously we got a lot of things to do. But the first thing is get some air in the tire and drag it out of here so we can get some light on the subject and see what we can do with it. Okay, let's see if this one will hold some air. It's the only one that's down on air. If we're lucky, it'll come back around. If not, I forgot to bring a jack. Oh, we're good. We're getting some inflation and we're getting a raise, so there you go. I'm not going to get crazy with a lot of air in these yet because I don't want to pop them. But as long as it's not going to take the tire off the bead, we should be good. So, very good. All right, let's get our hands down in here and just, it's got a mechanical fan, sort of. Oh, it rolls. Very good. You said how long has it been parked? 7 years? 7 years? Okay. So there's, with it having sat that long, we know that the gas tank is full of bad gas. We'll have to get out of there. But I brought an auxiliary tank, and we'll just disconnect the fuel system, and once it fires up, which it should, it's got electronic ignition, which is great. We don't have to mess with points. We can just pump that old gas out of there, and then we'll get some wreck fuel that won't go bad like this stuff does. So, although 7 years ago gas wasn't as bad, but and this is a 72, not a 71. I was wrong. I'm 99.9% sure that battery's dead, but I thought for fun we would just stick a key in it and see what happens. Maybe. Well, oh, the battery's completely dead. I'm shocked. Okay, let's take a peek at the oil, see what that looks like. Smells good. Actually feels good. Feels very good. Okay. Good. There's our fuel lines right there. Okay. Great. That'll be fun to get at. So what I want to do first is thinking whether I want to pull the plugs out and shoot some lubricant in there or just crank it over after I disconnect the fuel line. So I got to think about that for just a minute. It's a judgment call, but as easy as that turned, I'm guessing there's no rust in the cylinders, so we'll probably be okay with just going ahead and spinning it over and getting some oil circulating around in there. But let me think about that. Well, I pulled out a plug and it looks like it was just parked yesterday. I'm happy with that. I don't think we're gonna need to worry too much. I'll probably squirt a little PV blaster down the carburetor just to give it a little, but I don't think we need to pull all the plugs out and everything. I took a sniff on the gas tank. It doesn't smell bad, which probably parked 7 years ago. The gas quality was probably better. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the fuel pump so we're not drawing from the tank at this point and pumping that gas into the carburetor, and we'll test on that gas and see whether we think we can use it or not. So we'll get that done, but I think overall this dry storage that it's been in this sand building was the absolute best case scenario it could have been for this car. So 7 years isn't really that long for something like this to be parked. It feels like it. I know to you it does.
It does.
But I think we're okay. I've definitely had them parked longer than this and just fired them right up. But I'm going to be extra cautious here because we don't know the quality of the fuel that's in there. So. I fought with that line for 27.6 minutes and finally gave up and got a knife and sliced it off. But we cut off the suction line, basically hard as a stick, so it wasn't going to slide off that pump. But now it won't draw from the fuel. The return line's hooked up, but that won't matter. So we'll make a decision next on how we're going to plumb this into the carburetor with the other tank, or first we'll probably just squirt gas in it to get it to fire. But before we do that, I want to squirt some PV blaster down there and get some lubrication into those cylinders and then crank it over a bit with the battery and let's see what happens. Out with the old, in with the new. Not ideal, but it'll work. I heard something click in the car. All right. So we got our battery in backwards because GM Mopar posts are opposite, so I had to put it in the other way. But we should be good now, and we'll hit that starter and see what happens. I do want to make sure that I got the right post on the right thing. Negative is there, which was over here, which is negative there. Okay, yep, we're good. So let's, I disconnected the coil, if I didn't say that. We'll go ahead and just crank it over a little bit and see what happens, if it cranks over. You're right, that shifter's finicky.
Yeah,
I need to think we had an electrical problem. Should have cleaned the battery terminals. Okay, so I'm gonna hook the coil back up. I put PV Blaster down there twice, and once we squirt the gas, that will wash. But the thing I wanted to mention is, you notice when it's cranking, it's steady, which means that the cylinders are all even. There's no lumping or what's the word, galloping in its crank. It's just nice and steady, which means that it's got good even compression. We don't know if it's good compression, but it's good even compression across all the cylinders. So if they're equally bad or equally good, and I'm sure they're good. So we'll get this hooked back up. Maybe. Maybe. I didn't check for spark. If we don't start, if it doesn't fire, we'll try that. We'll do that. But the reason I'm not is because we know it was running good when it was parked, and I don't see any real indications of mice. A little bit right there. So I think we're good. Oh, this does have oil in it. Very good. I did have some gas with oil mixed. I have two of these and I grabbed them both. So. All right, let's see what happens. Boom. That's what we like to see. It sounds great. Put a whole bunch more gas in there. And I said this gas does have oil in it. I forgot I had this one. So that's good. See if we get some oil pressures in here. Got to keep it running for more than
I
a
know.
split second. Definitely had enough in there to hydraulic it a little bit. Oil pump isn't catching its prime yet, so. Smells good, feels good, so as long as that pump is pumping, which it should be, I can't imagine why it's not. All right, I gotta think, oh yeah, I know what I'll do. I'll fill the bowls up in the carburetor. Just squirting gas in the bowl vent, put a bunch of gas in the carburetor so it'll run longer. accelerator pump's trying to work. That's great. It means this didn't have bad gas in it because the rubber stuff's not dried out. Yep, we're squirting good now. Probably flooded the heck out of it.
So,
It was starting to sound a little clattery, and then the oil pump kicked in, so it's good. I was just ready to shut it off, and then all of a sudden it quieted out, and the oil pump light went out. So you heard that too, I'm sure. Not enough gas in it. Oh, I didn't squirt any in the carburetor, that's why. Duh. I was in the process of editing this and realized that there's a chunk of video missing. It's nothing significant, but I'll just give you the rundown on what we did. We went ahead and took our auxiliary tank and hooked it up to the fuel pump and then hooked it up back up to the carburetor so that it was drawing from that. We were going to hook up the fuel line from the tank so that it would pump through and just squirt out, not go into the carburetor, but just go into a container. But that fuel line was so hard that we could not get it back onto that fuel pump. So I chose to go with plan B, which was put my auxiliary tank under the hood and hook up a line to that fuel pump and then suck gas out of that auxiliary tank. And I hooked the line back up to the carburetor, and that's where this video is picking up. So I don't know what happened. I apologize that we lost that little piece of video there, but it's gone and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's where we're going from here. Coffee break, you said?
yeah. Coffee.
Okay, we should have gas in there because it was gravity feeding because this is higher. As I was putting the line on, it was already going in, but just to be safe. So what I've got right now is this auxiliary tank is just hooked up to the fuel pump, to the carburetor. The return line is still active, so it's going to be pushing gas back to the tank. If we're going to run it very long, we'll pinch that off, but I just want to see if the carburetor is working properly. I did check the coolant. We've got a fair whack of coolant. It's down about so far, but not enough to hurt anything. Charging system seems to be working, so it's just like when you parked it.
Yep.
Sound normal? fine. Don't like them racing that high when they've been sitting so long. Sounds good. Got good oil pressure, brakes work, transmission works. Guess we got to make a decision. So we've been just discussing the game plan of what to do next, and I want to clarify and qualify a couple of things because a lot of you guys are just armchair assassins, and you're going to look at everything we did here and all of a sudden just start shooting flaming comments, and that's fine, bring it, love us or hate us, we don't care as long as you're noticing us. But context is everything. There's a lot of other things I might have done with this car in a couple of different contexts. First of all, I know Alex. I know that she's kind of a car gal. She parked the car. It had just been serviced when the car was parked. The oil was fairly fresh. We believe the tank is full, and you put seafoam in it, right? We're not using that gas, but we know all of this. That's why that carburetor didn't give us any fits. We didn't even have to tap to free the needle and seat. So there's a lot of history known here. The second thing in this is we're not doing one of these episodes where we're firing it up and going to drive it 700 miles home. That's not what we're doing here. The game plan we have next, because the tires are really bad, dry cracked and so forth, the game plan next is to simply go get the car trailer from her dad and get it up onto the trailer so that we can take it back to her house and put it in her shop where they can start working on it there. So context is everything, and I want to be sure that you understand that everything is always a calculated risk. But knowing the history behind a car, this isn't something that was parked out in the woods for 25 years that we knew nothing about. Having some history, I made some calculated decisions, and I think it's paid off. It's running great. It's got oil pressure. It's got coolant in it. It moves. We put it in drive and reverse. The brakes still work. I don't know if I trust them to go to California, but enough to get it up on the trailer. The other thing is this fuel line has returned more gas to the tank than went into that carburetor. I had about a gallon of gas in there. It's dry. So we would have to do some different work with that as well. But I just wanted to explain the context here so that you understand not every Will-It run is the same. There's always a context to everything. And the more history you know behind a car, the less work it is actually. So. Okay, so the tabs on the car were 14, and I just found the 15 tabs on the dash.
Yeah,
so
and they're
7 or 8 years is when it's been parked.
yeah. It's sat there with we put
And we haven't looked at this, but I believe this is a 47 Ford pickup, and there's been some discussion about letting me have a go at this and get this running too. It was parked at the same time as the Buick was, so we'll see if that happens in the future, but sure is a pretty truck. Love to have that one. All right, change of plans. We're driving it. We didn't have tie-down straps for the trailer, so beautiful thing is the windows don't work. Well, maybe that back window goes down, but I'm afraid to put something down, and well, yeah, we don't want things to go down and then not go back up. So, whew, it is hot in here. It's pushing 90 degrees out today, and hopefully I pinched off the return line on the gas, so hopefully we're not going through tons of gas and pumping it back to the tank, because yeah, it'll be what it is. So 7 miles to get it to her house. Brakes are so-so, and yeah, we'll see. No stopping now. It's got terribly warped rotors, or tires are out around, or I don't know, something. So you're just sitting on the dash. Fortunately, this is a great big flat dash. Boy, that 455 really wants to go. I don't want it to go. I'm sorry, this is very crude footage. It'll be fine. You guys are used to me by now, so all good. All right, so it's I think 4 miles and then 1 mile. So 3 miles and 1 mile. I don't know, something. These tires are so out of round. It's crazy. But I will say this, if I didn't, by now this thing would have been out of gas, because as little as we ran it, it just pumped all that gas back to the tank. I got to believe that I've got that line pinched off enough. And so a 3-line pump, that return line, is to help stop vapor lock. Oh good, we've got the heat on. That's helping a lot. There we go, we got some cool air flowing now, much better. That return line is to help prevent vapor lock. So the mechanical pump is still going to work. The way the mechanical pump works, whether it has the return line or not, it's just not circulating fuel back to the tank to help prevent vapor lock. But for 7 miles, I don't think that's going to be a real big issue. So we would be, I'm guessing we would be out of gas by now if it was returning. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking driving something like this that has been parked for 7 years and so forth. But as I said in the video, when Alex and I were talking, and I was talking to you, there's some known history here. So that's a blessing that that we have that. So I feel like I'm going all Derek here, but it's all good. But we have brakes, sort of, kind of. Uh-oh. I think we're running out of gas. We're out of gas. Okay, well, we're going to cruise to the corner, and yep, we're out of gas. So it must be returning some fuel. But I think we're about halfway there, so we might be able to make it. We might. Maybe. Drained her down, so that means that the return line is still returning some, but we're gonna, she said we've done 3.5 miles, so we've got about 3 more miles to go. We'll stop at the highway, top it off again, and then it's only a mile to her place from there, 1.25 miles, so we should be good. So obviously I didn't get it pinched off quite enough, but that's fine as long as we're not dumping gas out on the road behind, because the gas gauge says the tank is full. She says she thinks she filled it. We don't know. They're going to pull the gas tank out, drain the fuel out of it, replace the rubber lines, stuff like that. I'm pushing it a little faster now, just because I can. Got a little more comfort with the car. So I'm going like 45 now. So yeah, fun stuff. Woohoo! Makes great footage for you guys.
I risked my life for you guys.
It's not like that at all. It is hotter than a hot thing in here. Woo, doggies. I think it's all downhill. We could shut it off and coast, but I've got enough for 1 more tank full of gas, so we should be good. That's the sad part, is doesn't matter how much I have my foot in it, it's going to pump more gas back to the tank than it's taking in the carburetor, so it'll be what it is. Even if we had to leave it on the side of the road and have her run and get a couple more gallons, we're fine. I didn't buy a lot because I thought we were just putting it on the trailer, so that was a mistake, but we didn't have those tie-down straps, so it is what it is. Fun times! Yeah, we're coming to the highway. there. So we'll top it off at that corner, and then it's just a mile to her house. So it's not overheating or anything. That's good. She's so happy to have her car back. I'm so happy I could help her. It's awesome. It's hard to drive a 455 and not want to unleash the beast. We'll stop short of the intersection here, gas her up, and hit the road. So here's how hot it is in here, and I apologize the lens is so dirty, but I just don't have time to clean it. My camera overheated and shut off. That's how hot it is in here. Perfect. I went and took it back to the truck, stuck it in the air conditioning for a minute, and took the case off, and it should breathe fine now, so it'll be good. All right, a little over a mile and a quarter. Here we go. All good. Pushing a whole 50, and man, she's shaking. I think I better slow down. Woo, doggies, she's shaking. This is the state highway, so I'm obviously a little bit more on the nervous side here, but you can see how the camera's shaking. That's how much things are shaking. Crazy goat coming at you. Anybody home on a housing net? Love it. There we go. All right, I'm going to concentrate on the driving for this next mile, and then we'll get some picture of pulling into the shop. Okay, we're getting close. Fortunately, it's all downhill from here, so as long as I don't go shooting on by your driveway, we should be good. I hear lots of ticks and noises, but I don't think any of it's from the motor. No oil light or anything. It doesn't have a gauge in it, so it's hard to tell, but yeah, there we are. There's the driveway right there. Oh, she's going to be happy. Oh, that's not the lifter tick. Maybe. We'll rev it up a little bit when we get down here and see. Here we go. All right, I know she's got some stuff to move out to get it into the shop here, so we'll just park it here for now. There she is in the new home, ready to be worked on. So her boys are going to take it to the next level, and we'll coach them through it and see what they can get done. And I'll do a little bit of a rundown of what needs to happen next here as I'm hitting the road to head home soon. Success. I love it when a plan comes together. Awesome. Whew, doggies. That was one hot ride. Couldn't believe it when the camera overheated. It was hot in that car. It was awesome, though. I was telling Alex that it didn't feel so bad outside because it's between 85 and 90 today here in Michigan. High humidity, typical Michigan summer day, only it's not summer, it's spring. And sitting in that car, woo, with no windows down, it was warm. It's all good. So yeah, so what's next? So I told her I would do kind of a recap on what the boys need to do, and I can give them a hand with, or at least point them in the direction. They need to drain that gas tank and get that, get that gas tank out of there, or at least drain it and see what the gas looks like coming out. It may be okay because she did put the sea foam in it, but it needs new rubber lines on the engine at a minimum. It needs to get a battery in it. One battery terminal needs to be replaced. It needs tires. It's probably going to need some brakes, stuff like that. Would I drop the gas tank on it? It's a 50-50 that I would. If the gas came out of it looking clean, I probably wouldn't. If the gas comes out of it when you get to the bottom and it starts getting zootsy, then definitely I'd be pulling that tank and giving it a good cleaning. But ooh, I got some heartburn. Ooh, doggies. But it's all good. I'm very happy to have it home for her so the boys can work on it. There's not enough water in Michigan today. We do have several more of these Will It Runs lined up to do throughout the summer, though as hot as it is now, I may push the rest of them into the cooler weather in the fall. But we may get to do that 47 Ford pickup that we were looking at there. That would be fun. That's got a small block Chevy in it. I'm going to do a Will It Run on the Golden Mullet when we get that home. That Slant 6 hasn't been run in decades, I'm sure. Don't even know if it turns over, so that'll be fun. Still like to do a Will It Run on that red pickup that I've got, but I've kind of scooted that down the priority list because that hasn't been run in 10 years. But it's a parts truck, and more I just want to see if that motor still runs because it's the spare motor for Becky's black four-wheel drive TBI 318. And that's a weird one because that's a 92 that's still a TBI, so it's kind of a leftover production unit. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. Drop it down there in the comments. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell so you receive those notifications. We're on the Face thing. Instant Grandma. She adores us. /My Car Shop. And one more thing. Don't forget. It's very important. Rock!